We now come to the general debate. Members may speak up to 3 minutes on any topic. A bell will ring at the end of 3 minutes. The member speaking must immediately stop speaking and sit down. The rules of the debate are set out in Youth Parliament's Standing Orders 17 to 20. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business?
Mr. Speaker.
I call Matthew Fisken.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to be here today to represent Nicole McKee and the ACT Party on the subject that is affecting the 250,000 licensed firearm owners who were scapegoated, who were vilified and had their rights unjustly taken from them by this government. Following the tragedy in Christchurch, the government had the opportunity to wait for the Royal Commission of Inquiry and consult with real experts to determine what went so horribly wrong. How did a foreign national terrorist manage to legally obtain firearms? The Prime Minister, the former Police Minister Stuart Nash and former Police Commissioner Mike Bush ended up scapegoating and blaming the law-abiding licensed firearm owners for the tragic events of March 15, 2019. The government had the opportunity to enact positive and meaningful legislation that would have kept our communities safe. Instead, they chose to pass legislation that would prohibit a wide range of firearms. The Royal Commission of Inquiry, however, later identified Police Firearms Administration as the culprit, not the firearms themselves. The result of the Arms Amendment Act 2019 and the subsequent gun buyback, also known as the confiscation, is a 47% increase in gun-related crime. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and former Police Ministers Potter Williams and Stuart Nash are refusing to acknowledge that their government's rushed legislation has made our communities less safe. The current Police Commissioner, Andrew Coster, should publicly admit that it was his department's failure that led to them issuing Brenton Tarrant, the Christchurch mosque terrorist, with a firearms licence. The government, supported by police, are now implementing a general firearms register and stricter regulations on legitimate sport shooting clubs. These regulations will have no effect whatsoever on the gangs which are terrorising neighbourhoods with drive-by shootings every week. They only continue to unfairly punish law-abiding licensed firearm owners like myself. The only way that we can stop these escalating gun crime rates and decrease gun-related murders is by targeting the criminals with legislation and by restoring the dignity and the rights of licensed firearm owners. The ACT Party brought a bill to this House that would target gang assets for forfeiture if an illegal firearm was found on their premises. It was an amendment to the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Act. Now, had Labor actually encouraged a war on crime, they would have allowed our police to have the powers to seize these assets, such as houses, cars and cash, if a firearm was found during a raid. We need to pass fair and reasonable firearms legislation that will allow competitive shooters and hunters to practice their chosen sports within the law but without unnecessary restrictions. We need to target the gangs and the criminals separately because we are not them.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call Ethan Johnston.
Mr. Speaker, it is an honour to